Hi friends, in this chapter I described the sum oops concept. In previous video we dis I described class, object, and encapsulation, and polymorphism and data abstraction next video. And now this video I just describe the inheritance, delegation, and generic using in C++ concept. So firstly, why we use the inheritance? Inheritance को क्यों use करते हैं? The main reason of inheritance, because what is inheritance? Firstly, we know what is inheritance. Inheritance is the method by which object of one class get the property of object of another class. So that is the main class of main class is called the parent class, or also called the base class in C++, and that class which is inherit the property of the base class, that is called the derived class. So one or more derived classes available in C++. बहुत सारी classes हो सकती हैं derived class जो access कर रही हूँ parents class को. Suppose example के form में, suppose मेरे father के suppose दो बच्चे, तो both are the inherit the property of father automatic. So that is called the inheritance, because मैं किसकी प्रॉपर्टी इनहेरिट कर रहा हूँ? अपने पापा की, अपने फादर की. So that is called the inheritance. So inheritance is just as a method by which the object of one class gets the property of the object another class, and in case of the object-oriented programming, inheritance provides the thought of reusability. So that is the concept of the reusable. किसी चीज को एक से अधिक बार यूज करना. That is called the reusable. The programmer can add a new property to the existing class without changing it. तो प्रोग्रामर किसी भी प्रॉपर्टी को, न्यू प्रॉपर्टी को एग्जिस्टिंग क्लास में बिना किसी चेंज किए भी यूज कर सकता है. So this can be achieved by deriving a new class from the existing one. So the new class will possess features of both the class. तो न्यू जो क्लास होगी वो दोनों के फीचर्स इन्वॉल्व कर रही होगी, क्योंकि इनहेरिट भी और विदाउट इनहेरिट भी, क्योंकि पहली वाली क्लास से उसके मेंबर फंक्शन इसमें कॉल हुए होंगे और इसके अपने मेंबर फंक्शन पहले से ही हैं. सो बोथ प्रॉपर्टी इन है, बोथ क्लास बहुत सारे फीचर्स यूज कर रही होगी. तो द एक्चुअल पावर ऑफ द इनहेरिटेंस इज दैट द परमिट द प्रोग्रामर to reuse a class that is nearly but not the precisely. So that is the features of the inheritance. Suppose another example of this. Now give an example. So here we see in this figure, red, yellow and blue are the main color, and the orange is created from the combination of the red and yellow. इसमें red, yellow और blue main color है, but the combination of here we see orange and yellow के combination से क्या बन रहा है? Oh sorry, red and yellow के combination से क्या बना? Orange. Same as the yellow and blue के combination से green. So red and blue के combination से violet. So here we see the inherit the property, because the red and yellow both property inherit in orange. Same as the yellow and blue inherit the green. So green is inherit yellow and blue properties. Same as the here orange and violet property inherit reddish brown is inherit orange and violet property. So that is called the inheritance. So the orange color has the attribute of the both red and yellow, which produce a new effect. So thus many combinations are possible in inheritance. So that is inheritance, and there are different types of inheritance, which is I just described the all inheritance types of inheritance in next video. And now I describe what is the delegation. So why we use the delegation in C++. So now firstly is introduce what is delegation. Delegation just as a kind of relationship between inheritance, through inheritance, or has a relationship, is a relationship in C++. So in OOPS there are two classes can be joined in two ways. There are two ways for joining one or more classes. First is called the inheritance, second is called the delegation. So both these was provided the reusability of the class. Suppose example, one is class A, second is class B, and class C is inherit both properties or inherit object of this class. So A is in class C we created class A object and we created class B object. So this relationship is called the delegation. In inheritance, one class can be derived from the other class. The relationship between these two classes is called a kind of relationship. For example, if class Y is derived from class X, then class Y is known as the kind of X. So that is the relationship of the inheritance. The second type of relationship, that is called the has a relationship. When object of one class used as a data member in the other class, and such composition of object is known as delegation. तो इन दोनों का composition क्या कहलाएगा, इसमें delegation, that is called the delegation. तो class C is delegate class A and B, class C is delegate the members of A and B class. So that is such relationship between the class is known as the has a relationship in case of the delegation. That is the kind of relationship in inheritance, but delegation has a relationship. Now generic. What is the genericity? The software component of a program have more than one version depending on the data type of argument. So this features allow the declaration of variable without specifying exact data type. So the compiler identify how to identify the compiler. So that compiler is identified at runtime. So genericity comes from the virtual function. So if you want to create a template or create a virtual function, so use the genericity. So if you create a template, then use the different data types in case of the template. So in case of the template, we store the integer type, and same as we store the char type. So that is called the genericity. And the next is called the dynamic binding, is also used in case of the, and reusability is another feature. So what is the reusability? Then object oriented technology allow reusability of the class by extending them to other class using inheritance. अगर हम inheritance के through किसी भी एक क्लास के मेंबर्स फंक्शन को दूसरी क्लास में या डेटा मेंबर फंक्शन को दूसरी क्लास में यूज कर रहे हैं, this type of inheritance is reusable the data members from one class to another class, because एक क्लास में तो ऑलरेडी डिक्लेयर है, बट दूसरी क्लास में हम उसको एज ए थ्रू इनहेरिटेंस हम उसको यूज कर रहे हैं. So that is called the reusability of the data members. Another features of the object oriented is called the message passing. What is known as the message passing? So when the object as a communicate with one another, so that is called the message passing. In case of the message passing, we just as a declare class that define object and their actions. So in this class we define the different इस class के अंदर हम क्या define करेंगे? Different action means क्या हो गया? Just as a define object and their action, और उसके action means क्या हो गया? Suppose add करना है दो numbers को, suppose subtraction करना है, suppose display करना है, ठीक है, सपोज हमें किसी भी पर्टिकुलर अकाउंट को क्लोज करना है, तो क्लोज इज ए फंक्शन। सो एक्शन परफॉर्म करना, जैसे ओपन करना फाइल को, क्लोज करना, तो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ एक्शन परफॉर्म इन क्लास। एंड डिक्लेयरिंग ऑब्जेक्ट फ्रॉम क्लास, और उस क्लास के अंदर हमें ऑब्जेक्ट को कॉल करना, उस ऑब्जेक्ट के थ्रू उसको एक्सेस करना। सो दैट इज कॉल्ड द मैसेज पासिंग। सो इम्प्लीमेंट रिलेशन बिटवीन द ऑब्जेक्ट, इसके बीच में क्या हो रहा है, इम्प्लीमेंट हो रहा है रिलेशन किसके बीच में, ऑब्जेक्ट के बीच में एंड क्लास के बीच में। दिस इज कॉल्ड द मैसेज पासिंग फ्रॉम class to object using function. So that is called the message passing. Another thing is binding. So binding means used as a encapsulation. Binding means that connecting one program to another program, that is so to be execute in reply to call. वो तब कॉल करेगा, ठीक है, कनेक्ट हो जाएगा, बोथ आर द प्रोग्राम इज कनेक्टेड, वन प्रोग्राम कनेक्ट टू द अनदर प्रोग्राम, कनेक्ट हो गया, बट जब उसको जरूरत पड़ेगी तब वो उसको कॉल कर लेगा और वो उसको एक्सिक्यूट करा देगा। सो दैट इज कॉल्ड द डायनेमिक बाइंडिंग। ये कब कब होता है, जब रन टाइम पे। तो डायनेमिक बाइंडिंग के केस में हमारा कौन सा कॉन्सेप्ट आता है, एज ए वर्चुअल फंक्शन इज ए क्रिएट इन डायनेमिक बाइंडिंग फंक्शन। सो डायनेमिक टाइम because that is called the runtime polymorphism in case of the virtual function. Virtual function is called the runtime polymorphism. So same as the dynamic binding, working as a dynamic binding. So that is all the features, all the concept of the C++. In the next video I just start example of class and object, how to create class and object using Turbo C++ software. I just described the example using Turbo C++ software, live example, how to create a class and how to create an object in this class. Thanks for watching this video. If you any suggestion, if you want to do any suggestion, if you want to ask any question, then you just write down, just see my email ID and just send the queries. Thanks a lot.